Super Mario Odyssey is a game that feels like it was just made to be speedrun. You can get a good time without glitches or really hard tricks, and the movement feels phenomenal. If you're into platformers and want to start speedrunning, I'd recommend this game first. But now let's see how fast you can speedrun Super Mario Odyssey in 1 week. So day 1 starts with learning the game, and there's a lot to learn. So we need to obtain 124 moons, and because I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long with half of it just explaining them, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over the moons that have some interesting movement, and for the rest I'll give a broader overview. You'll see what I mean. So we start the game with the Apoki's branded cutscene skip, where you press the plus button to skip the cutscene, and then we're off to the gameplay. We get Cappy and proceed to climb up the tower using some dives and rolls. Then we beat our first boss, which is as simple as using Cappy to remove his hats, jumping on his head, and then jumping on his hat to stop this cycle before doing the same thing again. Now we're on to Cascade Kingdom. In Cascade we start with getting this chain chomp to break the block and reveal a moon. Then we make it to the boss right away by capturing this dinosaur and hitting this trampoline with his left foot. Then if we release from the dinosaur at the right time and do a dive, we can trigger the boss's cutscene. The boss is as simple as knocking the cap off her chain chomp, capturing it, and hitting her with it 3 times before collecting 3 more moons. Finally, we need just 1 more moon before leaving, and we get it on this mountain before proceeding to go to Sand Kingdom. Now we start out in Sand by getting 3 moons in the city, 1 on the hill, and 3 more in the temple structure thing. One of these has some tricky wall jump movement because the ice pillar is weird, and I pretty much always had trouble with it. Now we possess a bullet bow to fly over to a tower, take its moon, get 1 in a garbage pile, 1 in a Sphinx's quiz, and 1 over in some quicksand. Next we use a bullet bow to get 3 more moons, the last of them having some tricky wall jump movement before getting our last 2. All that's left is the cactus moon and this one at the hill by the oasis area. And that right there is 16 moons in 25 seconds. Yeah, that's what I meant by a broader overview. So yeah, Sand has a lot of things to collect, but Lake Kingdom is a little bit easier. To start, we ground pound by the ship to collect our first moon. Then we skip the first area of Lake Kingdom by wall jumping and diving here. And then we get the next moon by the zipper. We can then get 3 more moons in the ocean before doing a triple jump cap throw to make it to this platform and challenge our next boss, Rango. This boss is really easy and you just need to repeatedly jump on his head before he can do anything. Now his 3 moons get us out of Lake Kingdom. Wooded Kingdom is next and we got a lot more moons with it. We can quickly get 3 in the first area by hitting the bunny, breaking the rock, and just buying 1. Then we jump over to this waterfall and continue on our way, picking up 2 more moons until we make it to this underwater pipe. Here we get yet another 2 moons before exiting, though this area is really annoying for me. We pick up another 2 moons and this plant moon before continuing to our next area. Here we can do a triple jump dive to make it to our next moon fast, and then roll to the next area so we don't have to wait for the slow grass platforms. Then there are 2 moons in this building that we use getting the stretchy boys. Finally we defeat the boss, Spewer, is that his actual name, to get our last 3 moons. He's as simple as kicking his hat off, hitting his head, and jumping on the moving hat as soon as it starts. Now we're on to Cloud Kingdom. All that's in Cloud Kingdom is Bowser, and it's not that bad of a fight. What we do to make it fast is hit his white hat, and then cap throw to get it, but hold the cap throw button until we're close to Bowser so he won't jump away. Once we do this 3 times, it's time to go to Lost Kingdom. Now Lost Kingdom starts out with a really difficult jump. We need to do a triple jump cap dive off this tree, and it's difficult because the tree doesn't give you too much space to do it. We need to do this so Cappy won't get stolen by the bird. Then we have some pretty straightforward moons. We have this hill one, this butterfly, 2 different moons on these platforms, and 1 over at this tree. Then we alert the bird from behind so he can't take Cappy. Now we need to get the moon in this thingy, the one where you blow up the block, this hidden moon, this cave moon, and the moon under the bridge. For the bridge moon we can jump down and do a cap throw and a dive, grabbing the moon, dying, and then getting teleported back to the ship where we can make our way to Metro Kingdom. This movement's really cool. Casually, Metro is my favorite kingdom in the game, and that holds true with the speedrun. Now we start off by going down to the city and then jumping off this awning, and then doing a cap dive, wall jump dive. Then we can do a long jump to make it to our first moon. We do some more of this kind of movement until we make it inside this building. Here we climb up the tower and take the moon at the top, and then it's time to fight the Wiggler boss. This is the worst boss in the game, and I will stick by that. What we need to do is shoot all his glowing body parts and then shoot him repeatedly. Then he will try to do an attack that we can't interrupt. He crawls past you while he's invincible, so we go to the corner so he crawls the least distance to save a little bit of time. Then we need to shoot his attacks and repeat the same process as the last time. If you can hit all the glowing parts, you can finish him off there, but if you're not fast enough, you'll have to wait for a 3rd cycle, so it's really important to be fast. Now we can collect our 3 new moons and continue. Now in the city we collect a moon in these bars, the car moon, this garbage moon, the greatest moon in the game, and this moon before teleporting to the top of the tower. From there we can do a long jump to reach this dumpster moon, and from there we go to the crane moon, and then go right back up to the top of the tower to collect its moon, the pool moon, and the patio moon. We then get the 2 moons in the busy street area before talking to Pauline, and then collecting 2 band members for her, and this moon in this pile of junk. Now we can teleport back and make it to Snow Kingdom. But before that, this was actually the end of day 1, and I decided to do the rest of my learning off stream on day 2, so let's go ahead and see that. Now in Snow Kingdom we could start out by doing this, but I didn't want an Alpharad run, so instead I decided to do an easier route. We start off by finding Captain Toad and getting his moon. Then we go into this well and get a moon from the boxes, 1 from buying it, 1 from doing a cool jump off this umbrella and dive into this chest, and 1 in this pile of snow. Then we go into the blowy guys area and collect 2 moons in there, the Goomba area and collect 2 moons in there, and the brutal fight area, but instead of fighting him, we get this moon and leave the Snow Kingdom, now on our way to Seaside. In Seaside, we start by doing some triple jump movement to make it to the top of this cliff and collect the moon. I struggled for a while because I didn't understand that kicking in the air is really useful because it seems to give you a little bit more height, so be aware of that if you want to run this. We continue on getting 3 different moons, all in their own various places, before becoming a fish. Then we can collect this chest moon, this cave moon, this tiny hill moon, this dory moon, this murder the seaweed moon, and this last moon in a wall. Now we can make it to one of my favorite places, Luncheon Kingdom. Luncheon starts off with a pretty precise triple jump dive wall kick, which again would have been much easier if I just understood kicking in the air, but we still got it done. Then we collect 2 more moons before making it to our next boss, Spewer. Yeah, he's the same as before. We continue on getting this moon in the secret room, 1 on a hill, 1 hidden in a box where we can do a no-looker that looks cool, 1 in some soup, 1 on a pillar, and 1 on a small piece of land before going into the next secret room. Then in the secret room we just do the fork minigame like normal, collecting both of the moons in there. Now we get another 1 on another hill, and 1 using the hammer bro to destroy some cheese. And then we finish off this world with a moon where we light a torch thing, and a moon where we get 1 behind a cliff, before making it to some meat, hop, and collecting a 3 moon. Now it's time to go back and have ourselves a dragon fight. The dragon fight in Ruined Kingdom doesn't change too much from normal. We just dodge his attacks and wait for him to slam his head into the ground. We can make this fight a little faster by damage boosting on the dragon, so we can start pulling out his needles as soon as possible, and simply ground pounding on his head without removing the hat with the cap throw as it isn't needed. Once that's done 3 times, it's time for Bowser Kingdom. Bowser's Kingdom starts with us making our way to the end as fast as possible until we can kill this enemy, revealing a moon. Then on the next island over, we get 3 moons. 1 from collecting 5 of the moon shards, 1 from poking a wall, and 1 from going to the top of this roof. Now we need to face 2 mini-bosses, Topper and Harriet. Topper is the same as before, but for Harriet, we want to try to hit the bomb back at her right away rather than wait for this attack. Then we want to jump on her head, and when she goes into this little UFO thing, we hit a bomb at her right away, 3 times total. Now we have our 5th moon, and we just need to make it to the end of the kingdom to fight the Mecha Brutal. I did this fight by waiting for a bird to spawn and getting it. Then I would break the boss's legs, causing him to topple so we can take out a Brutal. Then we can poke the boss again, and we jump out of the bird when we fly back before ground pounding another Brutal. Then we need to make it back to the top of the boss without falling down to be as fast as possible, which is really tight and difficult. If we're able to do it though, we just need to wait until he gets out of his invincibility state, ground pound on another Brutal, jump back to the top of him again, and ground pound on the boss 1 last time, beating it and collecting our last moons. Now it's time for the final showdown on the moon. Here we skip all the extra content and go straight to the Sphinx at the end of the level. Here you can do a ground pound into a cap throw bounce and then do 2 wall jumps, and you can skip an entire area of boss fights and challenges. This was really difficult for me to get at first, but then I started aiming for this spot on my first wall jump and it became much easier. I'll leave a video in the description that helped me for anyone more curious. When we make it to Bowser, it's pretty much the same fight as it was in Cloud Kingdom, except Bowser spits fire, makes more hats, and tries to fight back a bit more than before. But it's still easy enough with a little practice, and now we're on the home stretch. We finish off the run by possessing Bowser and then making our way through the collapsing moon with little time saves here and there. After we break through this area, we just need to collapse 4 pillars, something we do with a mixture of well-placed fireballs and claws, and destroy the center cube, allowing us to possess the light pole and call time as soon as Mario blasts off. Now that was a lot of information to consume, but I hope I did it in an understandable and interesting way. Let's continue on now though, with our first runs, starting with day 3. Now when I started my very first run, my movement was horrid, but it would only get better with time. Some main struggle points were getting to the top of this stupid ice column, goddamn, killing this Brutal, which is the dumbest time loss of all time, the easy Bowser fight, the tree jump in Lost Kingdom, like the entirety of Metro. I even went in the wrong area in Snow Kingdom, so I had to do it completely different than intended Moon, and then in Luncheon, I mean, look at this, and I sucked at the boss fights in Bowser Kingdom, every single one of them, and especially the Mecha Brutal fight, which, wow, this is really hard to do correctly, but only because I didn't understand it, but we'll come back to that later. Anyway, everything was going wrong. At the very least, we're very much on track to finish this run on the third day, unlike other runs. But before that, we had to do the moon jump, which really wasn't that bad. I got it after a couple tries. The Bowser fight had some mistakes like normal, but that's okay because we defeated him and we're going fast. It all came down to the ending, and surprisingly, I did really well on it. I hit the jumps, didn't fail the 2D section, and even hit some pillar fireballs, which felt really good. This made me end up with a very first PB of 1 hour and 43 minutes. Yeah, rip the sub 143 dream, but hey, I said to my chat, let's do one more today and get the sub 130. Well, that didn't exactly happen, especially with Mecha Brutal being my worst enemy, but I got more comfortable with the run and was able to end off the day with a 1 hour 36 minute time, so you know, it wasn't the worst. And yeah, for some reason I just really like missing better looking times by 1 second. Whatever, there's always tomorrow. Except I didn't even do runs tomorrow, haha, got him. But yeah, day 4 I decided not to stream and just practice. After my Minecraft speedrun week, I decided that less runs and more practice and rest were the way to go. If nothing else, this really helps my mentality, so I like the change. For this day, I basically went through the entire run and focused on the parts I had trouble with. This is especially important because this is the day I actually learned how to kick in the air, and when I spent a lot of time learning the Mecha Brutal fight. Yeah, both of these can save me a lot of time. By the way, important tidbit for the Mecha Brutal fight, when you are trying to get back on the Mecha Brutal, make sure you recenter your camera. That really helps a lot with getting back on him. Yeah, that's just a quick tip. But that practice led to day 5, where it was time to get the coveted sub 130. Oh yeah, by the way, my timer says my PB is a 138 instead of a 136 because I had the wrong setting on, but it'll get corrected later. Now for my first run of the day, we weren't starting too well. This boss isn't even hard, dude! But after that, we made tons of time save. We got gold split after gold split after gold split. Well, until I messed up the easiest boss in the game, but I was able to keep my momentum going. Then I got to Mecha Brutal. Could my practice on this fight actually pay off? Well, kinda. I stayed on after the second hit, but I did fall off after the third hit, but it was still a big time save, so I'm all good with that. Now, all that stood between me and my sub 130 was the moon. How I could even get a 127. Moon jump, first try. Bowser fight, well, could have been a little better. Well, could have been a lot better. And then I died on the 2D section. Yeah, I got a 130 and listened to sad music. Well, let's do another. Now my next run had everything my previous run was missing. I mean, I did make some mistakes like not getting the 5th moon before activating the ship. Yeah, that was dumb. And losing my hat to the bird because I died earlier. Yeah, that was dumb. And performing pretty badly on the Mecha Brutal fight. Yeah, that was... Okay, geez, sorry. But hey, I got the 127 I missed last run, so we made our redemption and called it a day. And then it was time for day 6 where I didn't play or practice at all. Rest day! And now the challenge was completely down to day 7. All my hopes and dreams were riding on this day and I couldn't let myself down. I wanted to get the sub 120, but it was gonna be tough. Let's get started. Oh yeah, I also accidentally deleted my splits, so yeah, just don't worry about that. So for my first run of day 7, I played really well. Of course, there was a lot of general movement improvement I could have done, and places I could have made just a bit better, but it really wasn't that bad. Well, that's until Mecha Brutal, of course. But we came back from that and continued to play really well, and that's how I ended my first run of the day with a 1:23:55. But now it's time for our last run. So my final run didn't start out well. Please don't mention it. But I wasn't letting that stop me from getting my PB. After that, I kept going, saving more and more time. A sub 1 hour, 20 minute time didn't even seem unlikely. But then Cloud Kingdom happened. But that's okay because we redeemed ourselves. What are you doing? Well, at least after that we made some steady time saves, so things were going okay. Stop! Well, maybe this can be the time I get a good Mecha Brutal. How does that even happen? Yeah, we fumbled the bag. But we were able to complete our last run in 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 55 seconds. It says 53, but I accidentally paused the time for 2 seconds, so yeah, it's a 55. So overall, Super Mario Odyssey is probably my favorite speed game yet. The game feels like it was made to be speedrun, especially because you don't even have to do any glitches to get good times, it's all movement. I definitely recommend speedrunning this game for anyone who likes the game because it makes an amazing game even better. But that'll wrap it up, so thanks for watching guys. But only about 20% of the people who watch my videos are subscribed, so please do that. And leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Also comment down below what your favorite part was, and follow my Twitch so you can see these types of challenges live. Alright, enough shilling though, our next speed game is getting over it, so we'll see what happens.